Before we begin, I want you to take a gentle, deep breath. Inhale and exhale. In that simple act, you've connected with a rhythm that is uniquely yours, a rhythm that has been with you from the very beginning. Today, we're going to embark on a journey. It's not a journey to a distant land, but a far more profound one, a journey inward, back to the very center of your being. We'll explore a story about the subtle, unspoken language of the universe and the energy of the soul. It's a story about why we sometimes feel a sense of unease, a quiet anxiety we can't quite name, and how this feeling is not a punishment, but a signal, a cosmic whisper telling us we've drifted just slightly off our true axis. We'll delve into the powerful illusion of seeking approval, the quiet courage of solitude, the physics of resonance, and the profound peace that comes from finally, truly returning to oneself. This isn't just a story to be heard. It's an invitation to listen to the symphony that has always been playing within you. So get comfortable, quiet your mind, and let's begin. Have you ever felt it? That subtle, almost imperceptible tremor deep within, an emotional hum that feels like anxiety, or perhaps a dull, persistent pain, or even a formless fear that shadows your brighter moments. We've all been there. We try to diagnose it, to pin it on our job, our relationships, or the stresses of the day. But what if it's something deeper? What if the universe, in its infinite and silent wisdom, doesn't need to speak a single word to communicate with us? What if it simply mirrors our inner state through the very emotions we try so hard to avoid? Imagine your soul as a planet, a celestial body born with its own unique gravitational pull, its own perfect orbit around a brilliant inner sun. This is your axis, your center, your original source of light. When you are aligned with it, there is a natural rhythm to your existence, a sense of ease and flow. But something happens along the way, doesn't it? We begin to notice other galaxies, other suns, other sources of light. We start to believe that their light is brighter, their pull more important. This is the beginning of the drift. It starts innocently. As a child, you draw a picture, and a parent's face lights up with a smile. That smile feels like warmth, like safety, like love. You've just received your first energetic message. Approval equals light. Conversely, you might speak your unfiltered truth and be met with a disappointed sigh or a stern look. The message is just as clear. Authenticity can lead to darkness without anyone ever saying the words. A program is installed deep within your consciousness. Your worth is conditional, and love is something to be earned through performance. We no longer revolve around our own source of light. We start to operate according to external frequencies. These frequencies are shaped by the gaze of others, by the subtle nods of approval, by the unspoken expectations that hang in the air. When we drift from our axis, life becomes a frantic chain of endless reactions. We become like an electron that has lost its orbit, desperately trying to find stability, but only moving farther away from its original pull. Think about your daily life. How many of your choices are truly yours? That outfit you chose, was it because it made you feel good, or because you anticipated the compliments it might bring? The opinion you kept silent in a meeting, was it because you were uncertain, or because you feared it would be unpopular? Every time we do something only to be liked, a part of our energy, our life force, leaves us. It flows out into the space of another, seeking validation. When this happens long enough, the soul grows weary. It's no longer a singular, coherent entity. Instead, it becomes a collection of countless small reactions, a mosaic of other people's desires. It is a chameleon, constantly changing its colors to blend in, forgetting its own original hue. The fear of being disliked is not a simple emotion. It is a low, dense frequency, and it has the power to control the entire subtle nervous system. Feel it in your body right now. Think of a time you were afraid of being judged. What happens? Your shoulders tense, your breath becomes shallow, your stomach tightens. It's a physical contraction. That fear literally blocks the natural circulation of your energy and keeps your heart in a constant state of defense, always braced for impact. Every single time we believe we need another's approval to feel safe, to feel worthy, we hand them the remote control to our own inner world. We give them the power to define our value. Yet, the universe never created a soul to live under another's frequency. Your essence was born as an independent light with its own rhythm, its own orbit, and its own unique melody within the infinite symphony of existence. But we have forgotten this truth. We continue living our entire lives seeking approval, chasing the fleeting high of being loved, believing that is the source of happiness. But the more we try to prove ourselves, the emptier we feel. Why? Because energy cannot be sustained by borrowed frequencies. It's like trying to power your home with your neighbor's generator. It might work for a little while, but the connection is unstable, and you are never truly in control. Your energy can only stabilize when it creates a resonance loop within itself, when it returns to its own source. And how does the universe tell us we've strayed too far? The first signs always come as emotions. Those feelings of anxiety, fear, and pain are not your enemies. They are the lighthouses on a stormy sea, waves of warning, telling you that you are moving in the wrong direction. Every time you fear what someone might think, or reshape your authentic self to fit into an expectation, you are adjusting your vibration to an energy field that does not belong to you. The result is distortion. The beautiful, clear waves of your soul lose their harmony, and you feel unbalanced, untethered, and lost. Most people never notice this subtle drift. They believe they are living well, blending in, being agreeable. In truth, they are slowly dissolving, piece by piece, every time they abandon their essence for the temporary comfort of being accepted. The farther we drift from our axis, the more frantically we try to compensate with action. A person disconnected from their original energy will constantly seek validation. They become a whirlwind of activity. They buy the bigger house, chase the more prestigious title, achieve the next milestone, perform for an ever-growing audience, or try to stand out in any way they can, just to feel seen again. They are shouting into the void, hoping for an echo that will confirm their existence. But true energy doesn't need to make noise. It doesn't need to shout. It shines. It radiates a quiet, confident power, but only when it is aligned. The problem is that most of humanity has forgotten how to align. We've been conditioned to listen to everything but ourselves. We listen to the news, to social media, to our bosses, to the opinions of the crowd. And when that external noise becomes the compass, the inner silence, where our true guidance system resides, disappears. We lose the signal. It is not a coincidence that so many awakened souls throughout history and in our own time often walk through a period of profound solitude. Solitude is not a punishment. It is not loneliness. It is the sacred process of energetic recalibration. It's like taking a finely tuned instrument into a soundproof room to get it back in perfect pitch, away from the clatter of the orchestra. In that stillness, the soul begins to hear itself again. It's a faint whisper at first, easily mistaken for just another thought, but it's different. It carries a feeling of rightness, of peace. In the quiet, you begin to sense what is truly you and what is just interference, the static picked up from other people's broadcasts. When we are brave enough to consciously step outside the collective field, even for just a few moments each day, we begin to perceive our own distinct frequency. At first, it's like a small, gentle wave in a vast, churning sea. It's subtle. But if we keep listening, if we give it our attention, it grows stronger. It becomes steadier. Eventually, it becomes the most stable, reliable rhythm in our entire lives. It becomes our true north. And then, something magical happens. Nothing outside can truly shake you anymore. A soul that is aligned with its own axis no longer reacts to the world. It reflects it. Imagine a calm, deep lake. It perfectly mirrors the sky, the trees, the clouds. It doesn't get angry at the storm clouds or overly excited by the sunshine. It simply reflects what is, while its own depths remain undisturbed. This is you when you are centered. You no longer need to be loved to feel whole, because you realize that your very existence, in its pure, authentic form, is an expression of love, and that is the true beginning of freedom. Freedom is not about having everything you want. It is about not depending on anyone or anything outside of you to feel complete. When your energy returns to its center, the fog clears. Your emotions become clear signals instead of overwhelming storms. Your actions gain a sense of purpose and meaning because they originate from your core. And every moment, even the most mundane, becomes sacred. Brushing your teeth, washing the dishes, walking to your car, these are no longer chores on a checklist, but opportunities to be present with yourself, to feel your own steady rhythm. The universe does not need you to be perfect. It has never asked for perfection. It only needs you to be real. It needs you to be authentically, unapologetically you. Because only in your truth can your frequency grow strong enough to merge with the infinite symphony of the source. Each soul has its own unique sound, its own note. The universe only becomes whole. The symphony only becomes complete when every single note is vibrating in its own natural, beautiful rhythm. When we forget this, life feels heavy, like we're trying to swim upstream against a powerful current. When we remember, everything becomes as light and effortless as breath. There is no secret path to peace, no complicated formula. There is only the journey of returning to oneself. There is no frequency in the entire cosmos stronger than the harmony between your soul and your essence. And every fear, every wound, every desperate longing for love from the outside world dissolves the moment you accept the profound and simple truth. You have always been enough, right from the very beginning. When a soul begins to live according to the gaze of others, a subtle but powerful form of programming is activated deep within our consciousness. It doesn't happen in a single, dramatic moment. It's a slow, creeping indoctrination that forms through thousands of small signals over many years. It's in the praise we receive for being a good girl or a good boy. It's in the comparisons our teachers made in school. It's in the disappointed eyes of a loved one when we failed to meet their expectations. Every reaction from the outer world is recorded by the brain as an energetic message. As children, our survival depends on the connection to our caregivers, So we quickly learn the rules of the game. When we do what is right in their eyes, we are praised, loved, and accepted. When we do what is wrong, we are met with silence, criticism, or rejection. For a child, rejection feels like energetic death. From that very moment, our inner energy system is given a profound condition. You are only allowed to shine when your light pleases others. And, like a deeply embedded software program, it continues running silently in the background for the rest of our lives, influencing our decisions without us ever realizing it. We lose the spontaneous, wild, authentic instinct of the soul. Every decision, every action, even the very emotions we allow ourselves to feel, get filtered through the relentless question, what will they think? When this filter becomes a habit, our energy no longer flows freely from our core like a powerful river. Instead, it splits into countless small, weak branches, each one trying to please someone different: our boss, our partner, our parents, our friends, our social media followers. The result is that we stop truly living. We start reacting. Within this distorted, energetic field, the fear of being disliked is one of the lowest, heaviest, yet strongest frequencies a person can experience. It not only warps the vibration of the heart, but it also creates a false magnetic field that causes the soul to shrink. When we fear being disliked, we are not just afraid of other people's opinions. On a much deeper level, we are afraid of revealing our true selves. We become convinced that if people saw the real us, with all our quirks, our insecurities, our unconventional thoughts, they would reject us. So we begin to hide. We perform. We create and curate safe, edited, and approved versions of ourselves. We become actors on the stage of our own lives, playing a role we think the audience wants to see. Yet, the more we seek this false safety, the farther we move from our true life force, from the very energy that makes us feel vibrant and alive. The fear of being disliked can wear many masks. Sometimes it's the fear of losing a relationship if we speak our truth. Sometimes it's the fear of being misunderstood if we share a creative or unconventional idea. Sometimes it's the quiet, aching pain of not being acknowledged or seen for who we really are. But the root is always the same. We fear losing love because we have been programmed to believe that love is something that must come from the approval of others. This is one of the greatest illusions humanity lives under. Love never truly comes from the outside. The love you feel from others is only a reflection of the state you are carrying within. When you feel unloved, it is not because the world is withholding love from you. It is because your own frequency has moved out of resonance with the universal field of love that is always present, always available. In that state of disconnection, we try to compensate by desperately making others like us. We become people pleasers, shapeshifters, and chameleons. But what we receive in return is only temporary recognition, never true fulfillment. Every time we need praise to feel good about ourselves, we allow our energy to be directed by another's vibration. This creates a subtle but powerful dependency, causing us to lose our innate power to guide our own energy. Living within that system for too long, the soul forgets its true voice. It begins to echo the words of society, of the collective consciousness, of invisible and often impossible standards. The more we conform to those standards, the more we are praised, and yet the more we are bound. And so, a tragic paradox forms. We believe we are succeeding and evolving, yet we are only building thicker, stronger walls around our own beautiful, authentic essence. That is why you see so many people who seem to have it all, the success, the recognition, the perfect family, and yet they still feel profoundly empty. They are living in the frequency of approval, not the frequency of freedom. When a soul learns to live by the rhythm of approval, it becomes incredibly fragile. Its entire foundation is built on the shifting sands of other people's opinions. One word of criticism, one cold stare, one unanswered message can shake its entire world. The more someone desperately needs love and validation from the outside, the easier they are to hurt. The more they fear being disliked, the easier they are to control. This is the subtle, often unseen mechanism of energetic manipulation that governs so much of human interaction. A person doesn't need physical chains to be controlled. All it takes is a well-timed compliment and a well-timed cold stare. Think about it in your own life. Have you ever worked for a boss who used this technique? They praise you just enough to make you crave their approval, and then they withdraw it, leaving you scrambling to win it back. This dynamic plays out in families, in friendships, and in romantic relationships. It's a powerful form of control. When the fear of being disliked embeds itself deeply into our energetic nervous system, we begin to act primarily to avoid it. We stop speaking our truth because it might cause conflict. We stop living according to what we truly believe because it might make us an outcast. We stop expressing our real, messy emotions because we want to maintain a safe and agreeable image. We choose a career path to please our parents, stay in a relationship to avoid the loneliness we fear, and say yes when our entire being is screaming no. But that safety is an illusion. It is not peace. It is only a false stability held together by the constant, low-grade hum of fear. In the quantum reality, like attracts like. Fear always attracts more reasons to be afraid, because energy multiplies itself within the field it creates. Each time we act from a place of fear, the fear of being disliked, of being alone, of being rejected, we send out a powerful signal into the universe. And the universe, which doesn't judge, simply mirrors that signal back to us. It brings us more situations that will make us feel afraid. When we constantly fear being disliked, we will invariably meet people who seem to dislike us for no reason. This isn't a cosmic punishment, it's a cosmic lesson. The universe is providing us with a mirror so we can finally see the root of that energy within ourselves. And only when we can face that fear, look it directly in the eye without running, without trying to please our way out of it, does it begin to dissolve. Freedom from this deep-rooted program of fear does not come from proving that we need no one. It doesn't come from building walls around our hearts and declaring our independence. It comes from a much deeper realization that we have always been an inseparable part of the whole. A single wave cannot be rejected by the ocean. A ray of light cannot be rejected by the sun. A fragment of divine energy cannot be rejected by the source that created it. When we truly understand this, on a cellular level, we no longer need acceptance from the outside, because we see that we were never actually rejected in the first place. Every rejection we experienced on the outside was only ever a reflection of our own inner self-rejection, our own denial of our authentic self. Once we stop resisting ourselves, our feelings, our truths, our unique essence, the world magically stops resisting us. Then, the energy that was trapped in the cycles of fear and approval begins to flow again. The heart, which was contracted in self-defense, begins to expand. The inner light, which was dimmed and hidden, stabilizes and brightens. The fear of being disliked loses its immense power because it no longer has a foundation to cling to. It can only exist when we believe that our worth is something external, something that depends on the gaze and judgment of others. But worth is not a variable. It cannot be measured by a look of approval, nor can it be taken away by a harsh word. It is a fixed, intrinsic frequency written into the very structure of your soul from the moment of its creation. Each time we remember this profound truth, layers of old suppressed energy begin to release. Old emotions may rise to the surface, forgotten memories may surface. This is not a step backward. This is the soul's healing process. These old energies are coming up only to be seen, acknowledged, and finally dissolved in the gentle light of your awareness. Then, the soul no longer fights its fear. It simply understands that fear was once an old, outdated protection mechanism, a survival strategy that is now no longer needed. And when that mechanism finally fades away, we return to our natural state. A state where energy moves freely, where truth no longer needs to hide, and where love no longer has any conditions attached. In that sacred space, your light no longer seeks for anyone or anything to reflect it, because it has finally, deeply, and completely realized that it was the source of its own light all along. When humans are no longer ruled by the relentless need to be liked, a profound and fundamental shift occurs in their energy. The frantic, exhausting energy of proving their worth gives way to the quiet, powerful energy of resonating their truth. From that moment on, every action, every word, and every thought becomes lighter, because they no longer serve to maintain an image. They serve truth. We stop living to satisfy the imaginary eyes of others and begin, at last, to express the authentic frequency of our soul. Resonance is that beautiful, harmonious state in which your inner world and your outer world vibrate in perfect alignment. It requires no effort, no struggle, no desperate search. It only requires one thing: authenticity. When you live in a state of resonance, you do not need to force outcomes, compete with others, or prove anything to anyone, because your energy is already clear and bright enough to naturally attract everything that matches its vibration. In the quantum world, resonance is a fundamental law of operation. It's not a spiritual concept. It's physics. Everything in the universe, from the smallest particle to the largest galaxy, vibrates at its own unique frequency. And only compatible frequencies can truly connect and coexist harmoniously. Therefore, the most powerful way to change your reality is not to struggle against it, but to adjust your own vibration. When you do this, the reality around you will naturally and effortlessly realign to match it. New people, aligned work, synchronous opportunities, and beautiful experiences will begin to appear in your life. It won't feel like you are chasing them or forcing them to happen. It will feel as if they were there all along, waiting on the same wavelength for you to tune in. When you no longer seek validation, you also begin to see the real value of giving. But this is a completely different kind of giving. It's not the transactional giving of the ego, which gives in order to receive something, back praise, gratitude, or a sense of being a good person. This is an unconditional exchange of energy. You help someone not to be seen as good, but because the very act of extending your energy in a positive way expands your own energetic field. Each time you bring genuine value to someone, even through a simple, heartfelt word, a truly present glance, or a moment of deep, uninterrupted listening, you amplify your own energy field. And in that amplification, the soul feels an indescribable joy, for it is finally functioning as it was originally designed to create, to radiate, and to contribute to the whole. When you give without any expectation of return, your energy remains in its purest, most powerful state. If an action is done primarily for recognition, it is already tainted with the distortion of neediness. That distortion lowers the frequency, making the energy heavy and limited. But if you give only for the pure joy of sharing, that energy becomes clear, light, and far-reaching, creating positive ripples you may never even see. This is why those who live in a state of resonance have a natural, effortless influence. They don't need to use loud words or perform grand displays of power, yet others can feel their energy. Their presence is calming, grounding, and inspiring. True influence does not come from persuasion or manipulation. It comes from the unwavering frequency of truth. Truth does not need to explain or defend itself. It only needs to exist. When you touch this core of truth within yourself, everything around you begins to move in a new way. Your relationships become clearer. The ones based on false pretenses or energetic dependency will naturally fall away, while the ones based on genuine resonance will deepen. Your actions gain profound meaning. You stop doing things to prove you are worthy and begin doing them for the simple, unadulterated joy of creation. When you act from the frequency of joy, your energy never runs out. Why? Because joy is a self-renewing energy source. Unlike the energy of fear or desire, which constantly needs external fuel, joy feeds itself from within. This is the secret that all truly free souls understand. Only unconditional joy can sustain lasting, vibrant energy. When you are no longer driven by the fear of what you might lose or the desire for what you do and have, you begin to see the nature of all things as pure vibration. Every relationship, whether it's love, friendship, or a professional collaboration, is simply an interaction of energy fields. When two fields align, they resonate, and it feels wonderful. When they don't, they naturally separate. There is no good or bad, no right or wrong. There is no loss, only an energetic adjustment as the universe gently guides everything back into balance. Understanding this, you stop clinging. You no longer hold on to people out of a fear of loneliness. You no longer try to prove you are worthy of their time. You let everything and everyone move freely within their own energetic field. And the miracle is that what truly belongs with you, what is truly in resonance with your soul, will always return. It may leave for a season, but it will come back, often at a higher, purer, and more mature vibration. When you reach this state of resonance, you begin to see that happiness does not come from achieving results, but from the process itself. Every single moment lived in alignment with your soul's frequency is happiness. Every unconditional act of kindness, every genuine emotion allowed to flow, every conscious, mindful breath is an expression of your soul resonating with the source of all life. Then, even the smallest, most mundane action becomes sacred, for it is done in a state of pure presence. Nothing is meaningless. No day is just another day to get through, because in every single moment, you are consciously creating new, beautiful ripples within the quantum field. The difference between a person who is truly living and one who is merely performing lies in this frequency. The performer uses their precious life energy to maintain an image. The one who is living uses that same energy to create their reality. When you live truthfully, not only does your inner energy change, but your physical environment begins to respond in astonishing ways. People who once made you feel tense and defensive now seem softer in your presence. Circumstances that once felt overwhelming and pressured now feel lighter and more manageable. The world has not become easier. You have simply stopped resisting it. Resistance is the greatest source of friction to the flow of energy. When we accept what is, our energy returns to its natural, effortless flow, and everything begins to harmonize. This is when you truly feel the profound difference between striving and allowing. Striving is the frantic act of the ego trying to control the world. Allowing is the peaceful state of the soul, trusting the divine rhythm of the universe. When you allow, your energy no longer collides with life. It becomes fluid, adaptable, and powerful. True strength does not lie in hardness or rigidity, but in the ability to melt and flow. A single drop of water is soft and yielding, yet, over time, it can carve its way through the hardest stone, not because of its force, but because it does not resist. It simply flows. When your soul learns to flow in this way, its energy becomes limitless. Everything in your life begins to unfold naturally, without force, without a sense of lack, and without excess. You meet the right people at exactly the right time. You are presented with the right experiences to foster your growth. This isn't because you are trying to fix or manipulate the world. It's because you have simply adjusted yourself, and the world, like a perfect mirror, is reflecting that beautiful, new adjustment back to you. This is the true meaning of resonance. When you stop searching, you begin attracting. When you stop proving, you begin shining. When you stop desperately wanting to be loved, you become the very essence of love itself. And when you finally stop fighting the flow, you merge with it, becoming an inseparable part of the eternal, cosmic dance, where energy is never lost, only reborn in every single precious, living moment. When all the layers of resistance have finally dissolved, when the soul has bravely walked through the shadows of fear and the hall of mirrors of comparison, and has finally reached a state of harmony with the source, only one state remains. It is the state of pure, simple, unadorned presence. In this space, there is no need to prove anything, for your worth is self-evident. There is no lingering desire to be seen, for you see yourself with perfect clarity. There are no more burning questions about the meaning of life, for you have become a living embodiment of that meaning. Everything becomes transparent, as clear and luminous as light passing through still, pure water. This is the stage where your energy reaches a state of perfect, dynamic balance. The soul no longer searches for anything outside of itself, but simply exists in complete and utter harmony with the whole. In this state, the feeling of needing to do something to be worthy is gone forever. You understand, on a level beyond intellect, that you have always been worthy, simply by virtue of your existence. There is no longer an effort to love, for you realize that your very being, your very presence, is an expression of love. When you no longer crave to become someone else, your energy becomes completely free, and the infinite, intelligent flow of the universe moves through you without a single obstruction. Everything becomes profoundly simple, almost invisible. Happiness is no longer a goal to be chased on the horizon. It is the natural state of your being, the air you breathe. Peace is no longer something you have to seek through meditation or retreat. It is the very foundation of your existence. You begin to perceive everything from a much deeper level. not through the filter of thought and analysis, but through direct, unfiltered experience. Every sound, the chirping of a bird, the distant hum of traffic, becomes a note in a cosmic symphony. Every breeze that touches your skin feels like a caress from the universe. Every ray of sunlight feels more alive, more personal, as if the universe is whispering its secrets to you through every tiny detail. When the soul reaches this state of pure presence, it no longer seeks silence by escaping from the world. It finds the silence within the world's movement. Whether you are surrounded by the noise of a bustling city or the quiet of a forest, your inner state remains steady, vibrating at one constant, peaceful rhythm. Nothing can truly disturb it, for you have realized that true balance does not come from external stillness, but from the complete absence of inner resistance. In that state of non-resistance, your energy becomes incredibly soft, fluid, and adaptable, able to flow through any form, any situation, without losing its core essence. This is the very essence of life itself, always moving, always changing, always expanding, yet never, ever losing its connection to the center. When you live from this space, you are no longer driven by the outcomes of your actions. You act with full presence and attention, but you are not attached to success or failure. You understand that results are only temporary shapes and forms that energy takes, while the process, the act of creation, the experience of living is where the soul truly evolves and finds its joy. You no longer cling tightly to goals, but instead live by a gentle inner direction. Every step on the path becomes its own beautiful destination. When you speak, your energy carries the undeniable vibration of truth, and people feel it. When you are silent, your silence carries a profound peace that can calm a room. When you act, your actions become a form of natural, effortless creation. And when you love, that love is a radiant light that asks for nothing in return. Everything you do becomes the expression of one single, pure frequency, the frequency of presence. In that state, you begin to sense that linear time, as we perceive it, no longer holds the same meaning. The past, present, and future merge into one eternal, flowing moment of now. Each second contains the entirety of the universe. When you wash a cup, you are touching the sacred. When you take a single, conscious breath, you are communing directly with the source of all life. No complex ritual, no ancient technique, no formal prayer is needed for every moment. In its perfect simplicity is the bridge between the human and the divine. When the soul finally realizes this, you begin to live with a rare and beautiful kind of joy, a joy without a cause. It doesn't depend on what happens in your life. It does arise because something good happened or disappear when something bad happens. It arises simply from the miracle of being alive, from the sensation of feeling, from the gift of presence. You find yourself smiling, not because there is a specific reason, but because the energy of life within you simply overflows. You feel a deep and abiding gratitude, not for one special thing, but because every single breath is a miracle. And when you look at others, you no longer see separation. You see beyond the masks, the personalities, and the stories. In every face, in every soul, in every pair of eyes, you recognize the same divine light that shines within you. The ego no longer distinguishes and categorizes. The soul only recognizes that we are all learning, in our own unique ways, how to return to the very same home. At that point, all internal conflict disappears. All judgment fades into understanding, and only a deep, boundless compassion remains. You no longer have the desire to change anyone, for you understand that no one needs to be changed. Every soul is perfect within its own stage of evolution. That perfection is not found in the outcome, but in the beautiful, messy, courageous act of learning, expanding, and unfolding. When you see the world through these eyes, it becomes so breathtakingly beautiful that it can bring tears to your eyes. Not because the world is flawless, but because you see that even in the cracks, in the mistakes, in the moments of deep confusion and pain, the light of the source is still present, always working, always guiding, and you finally understand with a certainty that quiets all doubt that nothing has ever happened by accident. Everything, every joy, every sorrow, every challenge was the universe teaching you how to see yourself. At this level of awareness, there is nothing left to fear, nothing left to chase, and nothing left to prove. There is only rest. But this is not the static rest of a stone. It is the dynamic, living rest of water flowing through every experience, every emotion, yet always remaining whole and pure. It allows you to cry with your whole heart when tears come, to laugh with abandon when laughter arises, to live fully in each emotion without becoming attached to it. For you know that no emotion is wrong. All are simply energy returning to a state of balance. And then, in the quietest moment, a profound and final truth dawns upon you. The soul never had to become light, for it has always been light. It never had to search for love, for it has always been love. It never had to fear being lost, for it has never, for a single instant, left the source. Every journey, every lesson, every painful collision was just the soul exploring the infinite facets of its own divine essence. When you understand this, you simply stop, not because the path ends, but because you have finally, truly, come home. In that return, there is no voice, no image, no grand revelation. There is only the pure, undeniable feeling of unity. And in that feeling, you are no longer the seeker, but the sacred space through which all of life arises. You are no longer the soul searching for the source, but the source itself, living and breathing and experiencing life through this beautiful, temporary, human form. When this is seen, all questions dissolve. And in the profound silence that follows, the soul whispers, not with words, but with its entire being, the two words it has been longing to hear its entire journey: I am, and so. Our story comes to a close, but of course, your own journey is always unfolding. What can we take from this story into our daily lives? How do we begin to apply this profound wisdom in a world that is constantly pulling us outward? The first lesson is to become a gentle observer of your own energy. Throughout your day, just pause and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is this action coming from a place of authentic desire or from a need for approval? There's no need to judge the answer, only to notice. This simple act of awareness is the first step in reclaiming your energy. The second lesson is to embrace moments of solitude. You don't need to retreat to a monastery. It can be 5 minutes in your car before you walk into your house, a quiet cup of tea before the rest of the family wakes up, or a short walk in nature without your phone. In these small pockets of stillness, you are creating the space to hear your own inner voice, to feel your own frequency. The third, and perhaps most powerful lesson, is to practice self-compassion. The journey back to your axis is not a straight line. There will be days when you fall back into old patterns of people pleasing and seeking validation. That's okay. That's human. On those days, instead of criticizing yourself, treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a dear friend. Remind yourself that every moment is a new opportunity to return to your center. This journey is about unlearning rather than learning. It's about gently removing the layers of conditioning, the false beliefs, and the fears that have obscured the brilliant light that you have always been. So I ask you, what is one small thing you can do today to honor your own inner truth? What external frequency are you ready to tune out so you can better hear the music of your own soul? Thank you for sharing this time and this space with me today. It has been an honor to walk alongside you on this part of the path. I wish you not just health, but wholeness. I wish you peace, clarity, and the profound joy that comes from living in alignment with your truest self. If this story resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and join our community of fellow travelers on this beautiful journey inward. Until next time, be well and listen closely to your own magnificent symphony.